20-year-old fairy girl claimed to have discovered the secret to making money in life. In order to avoid working but still have money to spend, she directly targeted and got together with her 30-year-old boss. In just a few years, she drained her boss's wealth. Once her goal was achieved, she immediately broke up with him. However, the boss showed up at her doorstep. He said that even if it meant mutual destruction, he wouldn't let her go. He kept yelling at me, saying how pitiful I was. Feeling wronged, the little fairy girl sought help from a mediator, hoping to get rid of her boss. She thought that by installing surveillance cameras, she could scare him off. But the experienced businessman wasn't afraid at all. He clearly knew that people only call mediators for support when they don't have solid evidence. He said, "I have a lawyer for this. You can go to my lawyer to take a look." Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers from around the world is a huge source of inspiration for us. Then, the boss pulled out a record to show the mediator and explained in advance that the record only included minor expenses. For major ones, he didn't use this software. For example, the current house and its renovation costs were all paid by him. Even the woman's credit card debt was paid off by him. He's now in so much debt that his credit is bad. He can't pay it off. He said he spent all his money on buying this house. He said he had no money left and even sold all his gold leaf. All of the gold leaf, yes. This prop, I tell you, we have all the evidence. Everything is recorded. How much it was sold for, what was bought. I spent 1,000 yuan to buy fighting pigs. My worth was over 100,000 yuan, $14,000. But I sold them for 80,000 yuan, $11,200. A little over 80,000 yuan, $11,200. Gave him cash to repay the debt. I think he's lying. He didn't give me happiness. Every expense record is with his lawyer, and the mediator can check it at any time. At this moment, the woman suddenly argued that the house was renovated with money from her parents, and the man had nothing to do with it. Then the boss immediately called the renovation worker. "Was I the one who paid?" "Of course you did. If not you, then who else?" The boss told the mediator that since the woman was over 20 years younger than him, he often treated her like a daughter. But what gave him a cerebral hemorrhage was, while he saw her as the only one, she saw him as an ATM. The boss discovered that while she was with him, the woman had close interactions near the coast and maintained improper relationships with multiple other men at the same time. Do you know about this? Yeah. How many boyfriends does she have besides you? 7. 7 that I know of. 3 years? Yes. Even just that was already bad enough. He knew he was getting older and not as capable, so he was fine as long as they were still considered a family. But there was one thing he couldn't tolerate. The woman caused trouble with other men and then called him to clean up the mess. That day, the woman went out driving with one of her boyfriends and acted wildly. On the road, they didn't control their behavior well and ended up crashing the car. She went out with another man, wrecked the car on the highway, and I still had to go pay for it, to pay for what she did with another man. And you were willing to do it? I was willing. Didn't you force me to do it? I forced you? Can I drag you there? You're saying you went unwillingly? Did I pull you by force? After that, the woman told the mediator that these men were actually just her male best friends. They were simply hanging out normally. Nothing shady was going on. Are you sure? At the time, you said they were male best friends, right? Yes, male best friends. Or was it something more intimate? Living together like that, I'm telling you from the beginning it didn't really count. He was already living in this house. I already told you everything. At this moment, the woman still stubbornly insisted that nothing really happened. One of those men was even her colleague. However, the boss had already installed surveillance cameras in the living room. The woman especially liked to mess around wildly in the living room. Every time she did, it was clearly recorded. The boss said that if the woman kept denying it, he wouldn't hesitate to bring out the video as evidence. As soon as I finished decorating the house, she brought that man here to stay overnight. I have public evidence. At our company, I have everything. Video footage of it all. Her bringing another man to sleep in the room, and at that time I hadn't even had any conflict with her. She had already brought someone else to sleep over. And he's not just an ordinary boss. He owns multiple karaoke, KTV venues, and hotels. His line of business is already sensitive in nature, so of course he wouldn't allow himself to mess up over something like this. Originally, the woman came to interview for a job at his place. The boss thought she was pretty, so he spoke with her a little more. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me. The girl immediately said she had a sick mother, a father addicted to gambling, a younger brother, and a tragic life. All the classic sob stories came out effortlessly. One time, she successfully triggered the boss's protective instincts. I admit I was the one at fault. She even set a kind of password to stop me. For example, she would speak gently, always saying sweet and flattering things. She would pretend to be bullied, just like she would say this, in someone else's shop, working in someone else's shop, things like this and that. Then what happened next? It seemed like everyone was bullying her, everyone was playing with her. But later, through investigation, the boss found out that everything the woman had told him before was false. All of it was made up. However, at that time, the boss, who had been divorced for many years, was too desperate to feel loved. So he sold a villa and gave the money to the woman, hoping she would turn back and do the right thing. Yes, I sold a villa in Xiangtan, he said. She promised me that she would no longer work in that line of business, no longer be involved in those shady industries. So I sold the house and gave her the money to open a shop. How much did you sell it for? 4 million yuan, $516. You did that just to make her feel secure? Yes. However, after receiving the 4 million yuan, the woman didn't obediently open a shop. On the contrary, she secretly used the money to keep young, handsome men behind the boss's back. Not stopping there, she also scammed money from other bosses. Now, another boss has hired a lawyer and plans to sue her. She scammed another man for over 300,000 yuan, and even lived with him. You can go ask him. He says he has evidence? I don't have evidence, but I can take you all to ask him, can't I? She scammed another person for over 300,000 yuan. Just like that, a girl from a rural background, with only a vocational school diploma, used sweet talk to eventually buy herself a large house in the city and live a life of comfort and luxury. After being exposed by the boss in public, the woman immediately cried out that he had violated her personal privacy. She can go to the police station, she can sue. I'm telling the truth. Anyway, my privacy has been seriously violated. Go ahead and sue me, I'm not afraid. Although the situation at the time was very messy, since the mediator had already taken on the case, she fulfilled her professional duty and invited her close friend to help persuade the boss not to continue getting entangled with the woman. Fundamentally, you two were in a romantic relationship, right? So if the money you spent on her wasn't backed by any formal loan documents, maybe this is just to help you find a path to mediation? I don't know if you agree. We'll try to have her compensate you around 40,000 to 50,000 yuan, 5s and 6, 7,000. Impossible. The lawyer hoped the boss could be more generous and not fuss over such expenditures. He suggested accepting a symbolic amount of a few tens of thousands and moving on. You're such a big boss, and you're still calculating every penny. Aren't you ashamed? I still don't understand. Why, when you hadn't even broken up with me, did you already get involved with someone else and still ask me for money? You spent the money on someone else. How does that make sense? I don't understand. You caused trouble with someone else, and I had to spend money to clean it up. What does that make me? Tell me, what kind of behavior is that? Then why did you do that back then? Were you deceived? I was deceived. Are you saying I'm an idiot? Well, now I really am an idiot. Sometimes people live just for a bit of pride. When someone isn't lacking money, they won't willingly tolerate humiliation. After that, the boss declared that he had a more professional legal team than hers, and from now on, everything should go through them. He stated clearly that no matter how much more he had to spend on legal fees, he would make sure this woman paid the price she deserved. This mediation was clearly a failure. In the end, the boss slammed the door and left. The mediator also took the camera and left the scene. Since the mediator left, no one knows what happened after that. The story above is not just an isolated controversial incident. It is a mirror reflecting many facets of modern society, where the line between material pursuit and personal ethics is becoming increasingly blurred. There is nothing wrong with making money or becoming wealthy. It is a legitimate need and a driving force behind personal and societal development. But making money through deceit, exploiting trust, and taking others' assets is something that must be condemned. What is gained through dishonesty may bring a life of luxury, but is that wealth truly sustainable? And will there be a price to pay for such deceitful behavior? Will the cost be heavy? More importantly, it causes harm and emotional damage, not only to the direct victims but also erodes trust across society. The woman in the story chose the shortcut, exchanging affection, truth, and trust for wealth. But the final result was breakdown, contempt, and a life stained with disgrace. As for the man, even though his love was genuine, he lost his clarity and fell into an emotional trap, suffering deeply both financially and mentally. Life is not just about material things, desires, or sweet words. What is more precious is sincerity, mutual respect, and personal integrity. These are the values that truly bond people in the long term and create a meaningful and fulfilling life. Each of us should live with responsibility, honesty, a sense of contentment, and the ability to love. Don't trade your dignity for shallow desires. Don't hurt others, and don't lose yourself. Because in the end, true peace in life only comes when we learn to cherish the value of character and human kindness. What about you? What do you think about this story? Do you believe love can survive once trust has been betrayed? Do you believe values like sincerity, kindness, and mutual respect still have a place in an increasingly materialistic society? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next emotional and meaningful real-life stories. Thank you for watching, take care, and see you in the next video.